is there lack of opportunities in Nigeria? Where we can all sit down here and say that it's bad and we'll argue it, give evidences of why the economy is bad. But in this same economy, there are a lot of people that are making money. 10 years from now, 15 years from now, you'll still be here. But the little things that you've done so far would lead you to that point. A lot of people don't realize how that the people that they see on a daily basis, some of them are the great contributors to their success. People have to start thinking about what problem they can solve. But what is popular is easy to be believed. What you do for me that will make my life better, I'm ready to pay you for. Something worthwhile already, you're probably selling something already, or you're probably running a business already, and you're already thinking of quitting, or you're already thinking that you are supposed to be bigger than where you currently are, but you have not gotten to that point. It's because you're in that period where you actually have to prove that you are deserving of the next level.
Hey guys, welcome to Gisting Fat Podcast, and today we have a special episode, and today it's called Youth Struggles. And when coming up with this episode, I was looking for one special person, the one and only, somebody that I know that, okay, even if you mention entrepreneurship, you'll be thinking of his name. I want to represent you guys with Emmanuel, and I want him to, say a little bit about himself, his name, just a little bit of things so all of us can know a little bit about yourself. So, Emmanuel, tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Emmanuel Omale, and thank you so much, David. Thank you so much for inviting me to the podcast.
You're welcome.
My name is Emmanuel Omale, like I already said, and I am a startup growth strategist. I'm an entrepreneur and somebody who is very passionate about growth and helping people scale their growth.
That's nice. So, I want to ask, what was your inspiration to start scaling up other people's growth?
What was my inspiration to start scaling other people's growth? I like the way you asked that question because before I started scaling other people's growth, or before I even found the passion for it, I had to first start with myself. So I'm somebody that grew up from a quite humble background, somebody that grew up from in a place where I slept on mats.
Damn.
Yeah, I slept on mats growing up. I slept at the time where my parents moved from a rented apartment into our own house. Our house was yet to be completed. It was still in dust.
Yeah.
I used bowls as wardrobe to put my clothes in growing up.
Damn.
So that was the kind of environment I grew up in. I grew up in Badagry. But then even throughout those periods, I was somebody who was very passionate about the future, who knew that a lot of great things would come out of my life. Because I knew that God created me for a purpose, and that there are a lot of things that He had in me. Right? And it was even evident at that point because I was very intelligent in school and things like that. So I was just passionate about seeing how that the things that have been put in me, I could bring them out to reality and prove that, okay, something good can come out of this one and change the status quo, what the story has been like for me. So that was what put me up on that journey of growth. From there, I started learning skills, started doing so many things, and up to where I am today, and up to where I'm still headed, right? Because I literally will say I'm still on the journey.
Wow. So now we're going to talk about few topics, because I don't even know, the stage you are in, it's not everybody that's going to try. Because people are going to try, but it's not going to be easy majorly to reach that stage. So, what can you say has been your secret or your strategy to reach the stage you are? Yeah.
My strategy to reach the stage where I am at. Okay, I think we were having a conversation the other day, and I told you that there are just three things I prioritize the most in my life right now. There are many things I would say are important that have been very, very important while growing up. But there are three things I prioritize, and the first one is God. The second one is people. The last one is knowledge. So those three things are things that I always, every day and night, that's what I would say have kept me and brought me to where I am at right now in my journey. And I know will still take me beyond this point. God first, in the sense that if I'm to look at where I have gotten to right now, there are many things that I don't deserve that I got given. There have been many problems and many things that I've been stuck in my journey. Right, and so many things that David, if I begin to share with you, you wouldn't believe them, right? So, but then God has always been that factor that has always come in to say, I'm insisting on you, and I'm taking you somewhere, right? And giving me, and always making me, sometimes there are some things that you realize in life, and you'll be like, why is everybody else not seeing this thing? This is an opportunity, or this is where I'm supposed. Everybody's supposed to know, but not everybody knows it. And at those points, I just get to understand that God has given me this perspective. He has singled me out. So God first. Then the second thing is people. A lot of people don't realize how that the people that they see on a daily basis, some of them are the great contributors, are supposed to be great contributors to their success. So we just go about every single day and think that this is just not just my guy, alpha this and that. Meanwhile, if you are to just understand that people are actually going to be very important in the journey of your own life, you would learn to first appreciate people more, value relationships more beyond just surface level. I'm sure you can relate to that. You have guys that you just talk to and just say hi, but you guys know that there's nothing in it. There's no substance there, right? So for me, I'm always key on building solid relationships, very solid relationship, because some days, like take for instance, so many opportunities have been given, and so many, in fact, work opportunities, right? That at the end of the day bring in money. It's usually from one relationship I built maybe a year ago or 6 months ago, and I just made that relationship, and it was just there. But then a month down the line, it would come to serve me. So relationships very, very vital. I could spend hours talking about how important relationship is, but I think people should learn to value relationships more and be intentional about building relationships, right? And then the last thing is knowledge, and I'm sure you're the king of this yourself. You're always advocating that people should learn a skill, learn a lot, and all of these things. Very, very important. Very, very important. We live in a world where nobody cares who you are until we can see how valuable you are, until you can prove it to us. And the easiest way for you to prove who you are is to learn something that solves a problem, that is a solution, and present it to somebody and say, see this thing, it's a solution to a problem you have. Do you get?
Yeah.
So that's like three things I would say have been opportunities, or the things that have really shaped my growth, right? So that's what I would say.
So to grow now, like especially in this Nigeria, there is almost no employment in this country. Because
No employment.
I don't know if it's no or no. I don't know. But I want to ask, like somebody that is trying to grow into a career or something, what do you think is the best strategy with this low or no employment in this country? Like
in this country, what's the best way
because
to go about it?
We spoke earlier, you said that like there's a strategy, because it's not everybody that has a strategy to get employed or something. Because many people keep trying at different, and like you just wasting your time. So what's because I believe that I personally, I know like a technique I called backdoor technique, which I used personally to get jobs. So the technique is, you need to have like some sort of personal relationship. It doesn't have to go far, but it does have some sort of personal relationship with the employer. It doesn't mean that it has to go far. That's what people used to call connection. It doesn't mean that it has to be blood, like it has to be your uncle or something. But maybe the employer or something. Maybe you may be a church member or something. You just have to have like some certain type of personal relationship. Maybe you just even have the employer do some free work earlier on. You understand? So that's also something that really helps. So that's personal, my own view. But me, who am I to compare to you? So
I'm not going to take that from you. I'm not going to take it from you. I am not going to take it from you.
So say I'm just curious. I'm just curious.
All right. So for me, if you're asking me what's the best strategy that I can give to any young person out there that is starting out and wants to get a job at the end of the day, right? So the first thing I would love people to do first is a self-assessment on themselves. Most people think it's just all about what's the next skill I can learn now, what's the best way, who is the client I can serve, and things like that. It all starts with yourself. The truth is that with everything you've done right now in the freelancing industry, if you were in another industry like crypto, you probably might not be making so much or doing so much impact, making so much impact in that industry. Or say you were in copywriting, you might be doing so much. Let's say you were in the medical line. Imagine yourself in the medical line. But imagine that you at the time you were growing up, that was what everybody was jumping into, and because of that you jumped into that too. That's another thing, right? So for young people that are growing up, one thing that they have to first of all do like before any other thing, first sit down with yourself and try to understand exactly why you are here on it. Because I believe that getting a job, getting a connection, getting on a podcast to speak, getting just anything that you would ever do and you think is a good thing or a successful thing that somebody would do and say, okay, it's successful, is actually part of a journey that you are walking through life. Right? If God tarries 5-10 years from now, 15 years from now, you'll still be here. But the little things that you've done so far would lead you to that point. Right? So you actually have to be careful about what are the little things that you're doing. Right? But it all starts from a beginning. To start that journey starts from somewhere.
Wow, that's
I would love you to like picture this with me, because I know I'm saying things, right? It might be hard to understand. But just follow me. So it starts to start that journey, you were created.
Yeah.
You were created, right? And you were created by somebody. So that's why some people say I'm unconventional in the sense that I like to bring in God into a lot of the conversations I have. But for me, that's just the way it makes sense to me. That I was created by somebody who already has a purpose for actually making me. So it only makes sense that I go back to the person that made me, have a relationship with that person first. Because of the 50 years that he might have set for me on earth, he knows what every point of that journey, what it's supposed to be like, right? So I go to that person who is God, establish a good relationship with him, and then he leads me on that journey. And he has promised, like I know his promise is that he has a beautiful end for every single one of us. He has beautiful thoughts. So for me, just knowing that, when I started out on my journey and I knew that, I was like, my goodness, me to the ends of the world. Me to the ends of, there is nobody stopping me. Because the most powerful person, I've taken my time to actually build a relationship with him. Right? It was one very pivotal decision I had to make, like actually coming to God and saying, God, I surrender everything to you, all of my life, because I know you have great things for me. So that's the starting point. That's the first thing I would say everybody who is looking to actually get a job. A job is just one thing in the pipeline. Then from there, like I already said, building relationships. My first job, in fact, the first job I was ever paid for. Let me tell you this interesting story. So I started, at some point in my life, I had to do graphic design. And my graphic design was not a very smooth journey. I think I told you about my freelancing journey. That I did Upwork Fiverr for 2 straight months. I made $0. $0. Right? So, but the first person that ever paid me for a job, guess who? My cousin. She's just a year older than me. And it was on her birthday. We're together at that point. We visited an uncle, and then she was there. It was a day next day to her birthday. And she was just like, Oma, I would like to do flyer. Who's going to help me do flyer? I was like, wait, I'm a graphic designer, so let me do your flyer for you. You're going to pay me. And she was like, how much do I want to pay you? I was like, just give me 1.5. I'll do the flyer for you. And literally, that was the first person. That was the first paid. That somebody paid me to do something. You need to see how very excited I was that day. Like just 1.5. I was super excited. But that was where it started for me. A connection, a relationship. And from there, the next person that will give me a job is somebody I know somewhere. I want people to understand that before you get to a point where somebody will trust you enough to want to pay you for something, they would need to know you first. So I was talking about relationship building before. That's another very important thing. If you can begin to be intentional about the fact that you need to, how do I say this that it makes sense now? How do I say this to make sense? Davidson, if I come up to you, as we are friends now, before you would ever think of giving me a job, I need to be connected with you. Then that's the point of relationship building I was saying. Then aside that part, if you are going to give me a job, you need to know that you're not just going to hand me over money. Like right now, if I'm seated with you, you can't just say, Emmanuel, take this money. You can do it, of course, you are good, you're nice, right? But if it's going to be some very valuable, something that will cost you something, it has to be because I'm giving you something in exchange. So that leads me to the next point. People have to start thinking about what problem they can solve. What problem can you solve?
But why do people not think like that? Most people depend on certificates, and this is another thing. Most people, they don't really think of let me see, because that was actually what really brought me out. I was like, okay, I need money. I know a lot of people have problems, and a lot of people hide their problems. So how can I make sure that I can see people's problem and go and solve it? Because this is another thing. I know I say, oh, look, you guys are robbed of $50 million, but I can be your back-end coder and help you stop all these kind of things from happening. That guy has a shot.
Of course.
You understand? But most people, that guy now that I just gave an example of, may not have 0 certificate, 0 everything. But
people are not looking for people that have certificates. There are thousands of people that get certificates. In fact, hundreds of thousands of people that graduate every year.
So why do people always look at the certificate instead of looking up how to solve problems?
You know, what is popular is easy to be believed. Do you get?
That's true.
What is popular is easier to be believed. If me, you, and let's say 100 more people can prove that this skill way is actually worthy, is actually something that works, right? And we can be loud about it and bold about it and let people know that this is the real way, more people would believe what we are doing. There are not so many people that can show. If you look at our space today, there are millions of Nigerians. They currently say about, I can't remember how many millions of Nigerians, hundreds of millions of Nigerians live in this country. How many of those people can you say are a proof that you can get a skill and you get a job or get paid and you'll be comfortable, live a good life from that? Not so many people. So that's one of the things why that's one of the reasons why I do what I do, helping people understand, because it's a mindset thing. It's what has been popular. Our parents, when our parents graduated, it was a job they were looking for. They took their certificates and for most of them they got jobs. Government gave them jobs and things like that. But in today's world, things are changing already. That was where value was then, right? Because the government needed people to actually work in the country and things like that. But now value has changed. That place is oversaturated. There are so many people in government jobs already, and most of them are refusing to retire, right? Most of them are refusing to retire. So, but now the value has shifted. But people need to understand that this is where the value is right now. People now don't want to see a certificate. The certificate is no longer enough. People now want to see, what can you do? What can you do for me that would make my life better? That's the simple question. What can you do for me that will make my life better? I'm ready to pay you for it. I'm ready.
This thing said mentioned is close to the next one, which is mindset. Because a lot of people, and especially in Nigeria, mindset is extremely different.
Yeah.
It's different. It's different. Like, what do you think, like, is something that people can do, like, based on mindset, that can, like, few tips that I can give to people that, because me personally, one thing I would say that would really change people's, that I feel like people should need to change their mindset, except from certificates, is, if you have any service that you can provide, try to offer a free service
first.
That's one thing majorly I'll say. You can also add to that one.
Okay. So before I add to that, because a lot of people watch this podcast and they'll be like, who is this guy? Like, where has he been before that I should respect and listen to him? So I would love to just give people a background of what my journey has been like before I move on. So like I already said, I'm Emmanuel, right? And like I already gave my background of where I grew up in Badagry and things like that. So let me continue that story. When I discovered and saw that there was a lot in me and I needed to change my story. Aside that, as I was growing up, I had siblings coming after me. And I began to see that their conditioning, the way they were thinking, was beginning to be limited by their environment. I'll narrate my story and I'll begin to point out different things about mindset from my story so that people can understand. I began to see that my siblings' narrative were beginning to be confined by the environment. Most of them were no longer seeing the big things, because God just gifted me. I was able to see the future and able to see I'll always get opportunities to go to events where I'll be like, throughout the event, I'll just open my mouth like this. That this is how people live. So people have money for things like this. Like, look at this guy, look at this young guy that is so dressed up, well kitted and things like that. I'll be like, my God. And I'll go back to my house and my siblings can't even think of things like that. So that was like a mindset constraint. They were being deterred by the environment. So that's one thing I realized. And that alone pushed me more, because I didn't want to set myself free. I wanted to set my siblings free. We deserve a good life, right? And God has put it in us to do that, right? And so from there, I learned a skill. Like I was sharing earlier, I learned graphic design. I think I told you this already. I've learned almost anything you can talk about. Right? I was into copywriting at some point. I did freelancing, I did graphic design, I did video editing, I did content writing. So from content writing, it happened then that I got my first job with a startup company in Nigeria. That was Pick Me Up. So that was the first time where I was saying, I started getting paid for as like monthly a salary, right? So from there, I moved into entrepreneurship more. I was keen on business. I wanted to know what business was like. How do you get businesses to run and thrive? I was passionate about Africa because I looked at the African landscape and I saw that there were not so many thriving businesses. If you look at a global scale of businesses, Nigerian businesses are not African businesses are not climbing up to that stage, right? So I was passionate about that and I went into business. And from there, I started out a number of things. I started out Room Money. So Room Money is a company that teaches students in African universities on digital marketing. And we trained about 1,500 students in 2 cohorts. 1,500 students from 18 countries in Africa. Yeah, so we did that. It was paid at some point and things like that. So that was one we did, and then from there I moved on to start consulting for companies, that startup companies in Africa. Like I said, I was passionate about business in Africa. So from there I consulted for a number of companies, and I remember I told you that I did just consultations for free. It was myself and a friend of mine that started out Room On. His name is Prosperity, and so myself and Prosperity were just like, we are young boys, and I want people to listen to this because there's another very valuable point here. We are young boys. We started out Room Money. We're training African students. Of course, it's easy because then, in fact, I was a LinkedIn influencer at the point. My friend was also a LinkedIn influencer, and on LinkedIn at the point, there were a lot of young people that were just there on the space, and they always say, my boss, because at least you're not in their level, you're above them. So it was pretty easy to get students to want to be a part of our program at Room Money. But then we wanted to now start consulting for businesses above us. We wanted to start consulting for companies, for CEOs of companies, and telling them that we want to help you scale your business. It was hard. It was a difficult place to get into. We had the skill. Like for most people that will be listening now, they have the value that they want to offer to businesses or to anybody, right? We've told people now on this podcast that find something that is a solution to other people's problem. So for myself and my friend, we found a solution. Businesses had problems that we wanted to solve for them, but there was a barrier. They were not going to trust us. We're young people. At the time, we're 18 years old. So all 18 years old going to be speaking with CEOs, right? So it was a barrier. And how did we break this barrier? We decided to start doing free consultation services. So we reached out to a CEO and said, we'd love to consult with your company for free. We've identified so and so problems, and if we can get on so meetings, we can, over this period of time, we can help you solve this problem in your business. So from that, we got people requesting, oh, of course, come into my office. This is for free, right? Come into my office. And along the line, we consulted for one company that I currently work at. So as we're consulting for those companies, we'll go there overnight. Would stay there. Let me paint how crazy it was. So just imagine that a company opens for the 9 to 5, and after 9 to 5 we stay there at the office, and then we wait until 12 a.m. at night, and then the marketing team also stays, and that's where we start our meeting. So it was midnight meetings for about 6 weeks straight. Difficult on us. We weren't getting paid at the time. Like, we weren't paid, but we had to do it for free to prove that what we have is value. So when it comes to mindset, the lesson you want to pick from there is that it's going to take a lot of hard work. In the beginning, it's going to be very hard. Very, very hard. It's not going to be what you'll almost be giving up. But of course, a lot of people give up. So what's going to make you different? There are very few people that eventually do something worthwhile, and it's because of this same period of test. It's simply a test that a lot of people, everyone that would want to climb up to the top, would have to pass through. So probably somebody is doing something worthwhile already. You're probably programming already, or you're probably coding already, or you're probably selling something already, or you're probably running a business already, and you're already thinking of quitting, or you're already thinking that you're supposed to be bigger than where you currently are, but you have not gotten to that point. It's because you're in that period where you actually have to prove that you are deserving of the next level.
And this is what is limiting a lot of people.
Yeah.
A lot of people
are doing things.
Some people feel like because they are very, very good, they should move forward.
It doesn't work that way, right? So this company I was telling you, we did 6 weeks midnight consultation for this, about 6 weeks midnight. Just on the island. I was living on the island. I was living in Badagry. This company was in Lekki phase 1. So we'll be going there every single week. All my budget, all my money, right? So, but then the company was actually just taking care of just the transportation cost, and then they also feed us there. So, but then that made it pretty easy at the point. And then at some point, I resumed school here. So I was going from E4 here to the island every week. But guess what, Davidson? Do you know that currently I still do that? I still do that. But if you had told me before, because I did it when it was my trying period, it's nothing for me now.
It's like
yesterday, literally, I was still on the island. But because I doing my testing phase, that is actually hard. It's hard to make those kind of trips every week. You will literally fall sick at some point, right? But because during my trying period, I literally took trips like that, like crazy. I'm used to it now. So that period was a preparation for me. This place I am at now. So after that, after consulting for that particular company for 6 weeks, then it got to a point where one day I just got a message from the CEO. Remember I told you we reached out to those guys. I told them wanted to work for them for free. After 6 weeks, the CEO reached out to me. I was like, "Hi Emmanuel, we'd love to bring you on board on our company." He was an 18 years old boy. They wanted to bring him on board at the company. Where do you want me to play in your company? I want you to be the head of growth for us. Head of growth. So I'll be leading an entire department.
I never get certificate this period.
My guy, I'm still not a graduate. I'm still not a graduate. I'm still 400. Right? So that's how it went. And from volunteering, like you can call that volunteering, right? To now showing myself that this thing I'm doing is actually real. It's something that is worthy. So now getting called up to become the head of growth of a company, right? I went crazy that day. And then I was just like, wow. So I was literally calculating. I went from this salary to more than times 2 of my salary of my next job. I know, like, I dropped the current job. I there were many other things. So it was just crazy, right?
And this based on value, just providing. But making sure that, and for free, that's just it. People don't really understand. And I usually give them a scenario. So people that, okay, somebody will see somebody that say, okay, how I want to just see a free service. They'll be like, no, before you see this free service, you have to pay me that 2K. You have to pay me that 2K.
The point is that sometimes the money you are requesting for is just so little. Very, like you were mentioning 2K, 3K. I'm like, if it's 2-3K, why not just offer it for free?
Exactly.
For a start, you're just proving. If not, like I'm not demeaning the fact that you have to get paid. I'm also a big advocate for it, because there are a lot of people that want to use young people because you are young. They want to use you and not pay you what you are worth, right? But if you are starting out, if you can't yet prove, and if you can't yet tell somebody that this is what I can do for you and you and you, and over this period of time, this is what it is worth, right? And the person will ask you, why do you think it's worth this way? And you say, because I've done it for so and so people before and give them that result, right? If you have not gotten to that point yet, don't make money be the barrier to serving. You would have to serve a lot of times for free, and use that, not because you need to serve for free because you're a servant, but because you need to use those their works as testimonials. So that when you eventually land somebody that will pay you what you are worth, you can prove to the person that I can do this thing.
To be honest, this is one secret. That is one secret to freelance that I use very, very well.
For freelance, tell me about it.
But because I have, in fact, till date, before I provide any service, most of the time to clients, I usually tell them, look, I know you want to pay, maybe I've seen my review or stuff, but you know what? Let me go for a free 1 week or 2 weeks. Let me just do this thing for free first, so that you can have like a idea of
customer's mind. Wait, this guy wants to do. Of course, I want to do this.
There are some cases where the client wants to pay. Like, okay, how do I pay? I will say, no, I don't pay. I want to still upscale that price. That's your mind.
I get the point.
I know that if I can provide that value, too, you will not be hesitant to pay for me. But if I have that, let's do it for a 1 week free service, and I provide that 1 week, in fact, I had one client that after the pitch and everything, the client wanted to pay. I said, no, don't worry, just give me 1 week. 3 days, the client said, the client doesn't transfer the money. He said that if it goes more than 1 week, then they don't transfer more. And then just see. Wow. You understand? Because the guy already see the value, like, oh my god, you don't just want to be in a position whereby the guy should be in a position whereby he has to transfer more, maybe because I'm upscale. The guy was predicting stuff like that. So the guy had to transfer the body I first called and phone. So it's stuff like this, and at the end of the day, people think that, okay, no, that you have to your price, your money, but there's sometimes where I feel like, me personally, I kind of enjoy proving myself every time. Like, if somebody say,
it gives you joy.
It gives you joy. Like,
actually, I feel that joy. So let me tell you something. There's currently a guy I'm working with, a CEO of a company, and I'm working in a team to help him scale his business. And when we agreed on what the price was going to be, it was 100K above kind of deal, and it was like, okay, fine, nice, let's work on it. I was like, okay, fine, because I know what I'm worth already. I was like, okay, give me a 50% upfront first to know that, okay, this is a good deal for me. But the guy was like, he spoke with his team. The team were like, who is this young guy again? He's just 19 years old. All right, we can't trust him so much with that much money. What if he doesn't deliver for us at the end of the day? I was like, okay, no problem. Let's sign a contract. I'm not scared that I'll deliver for you. But once you have a contract, you are sure that you're going to pay me, and I'm super excited about it. I'm super excited. I'm going all in with it because I know that if I can get this deal done, they were telling me if I can get it done with me, they want to bring me on board. They want to give me a monthly retainer.
That's exactly it. But most people, in fact, let me even tell you one crazy thing. I've worked for a client for free to the extent that the amount I spent is almost like 200k or so just from that client. But right now I'm making like, but no, it was about 300k. Right now I make like 1 million from that client. But the client I've seen like the value of, like that's just it. But you know, except from even this, there's something I also want to ask you a question about, because some people feel like in this Nigeria there is no opportunity. I call it lack of opportunity, but it's still an argument. Is there lack of opportunity in Nigeria?
Is there lack of opportunities? Why are you bringing the argument here now? Why are you bringing the argument? Is there lack of opportunities in Nigeria? Well, I would say that the way Nigeria is, it could be much better, and there could be more opportunities. Considering the abundance we have that God has blessed us with, we are not creating so much of opportunities. There could be more opportunities, and so I would say there's lack of opportunities in Nigeria. But I would say that that's not an excuse for any single person out there. It's not an excuse that there's lack of opportunities. In Nigeria, it's not an excuse for you not to do something. Because even in the midst of lack of opportunity, you know, when people are crying that the economy is bad and bad and bad and bad, right? We can all sit down here and say that it's bad, and we'll argue it, give evidences of why the economy is bad. But in this same economy, there are a lot of people that are making money. You are making money, bro. I'm making money. So what's the excuse? Do you get? So the question is not, is there lack of opportunities? The question is, how can you prepare yourself to be the one that will get the few opportunities that there are? I think that's what the question should be. Do you get? Because when we now start painting the picture of a place that is lack of opportunity, you know, they say that a cup that is half filled is also half empty. So which one do you want to say? Should I say that this cup is half empty or half filled?
This person's perspective.
That's the way I see it. So even in the midst of lack of opportunities and things like that, I see abundance. Once I can see human beings and I can point out problems, man, there's work, there's opportunities. There's opportunity. You see, another thing about this lack of opportunities, there are some people you ask that is there lack of opportunities, people like investors, people like businessmen, and they will tell you there's a lot of opportunities. A lot of opportunities, because whenever there's a lot of problems, there's a lot of opportunities there. There's a lot of problems. There's a lot of problems because of opportunities. So it just depends on how you look at it. It depends on how you look at it. Perspective, man.
Well, you have blown my mind
I think I finally won the argument.
Because I was still thinking, because like, except from, okay, now sometimes opportunities also come with okay, let's give an example. Let me give you a good example. Sometimes opportunity is not fully like something that people can
see,
think, because they are, like you said, like the environment. So how do you think somebody can break through if his environment is this thing? Because how do you break through? Because to be extremely honest, the environment is not a good place for you. Because if it's somebody that, okay, maybe you visit the island and see some business or some things around, it's easy for that person to break through. When it's a closed or isolated area, whereby his own is that people that have money that like these people that are like his own view of everything is different. You understand? So how do you think that body can break through?
My friend and yours we're having a conversation now recently, just before this podcast, your friend, and we're having a conversation as to how that the people that surround you determine, or who you are determines the people that surround you, right? And if you can change the people surrounding you, you can also change yourself. You see, one big thing I tell people a lot, and there are a list of things, like anybody that goes through any program I host, because most times I host a lot of programs, many times on a monthly basis. In fact, there's a virtual hangout I do every month where I just bring young people and we just have conversations around these things. On one of the virtual hangouts, I was telling these young people that gathered then, I was telling them that it's one of the biggest things that you can do as a young person, that I can tell you as a formula, that just keep doing this thing every single month or every single week, and your life, you can be sure that your life will change, is stepping out of your box. Everywhere where you currently are, where your environment is now, what it is, it has a certain reality that is open to you. So it might be that in your environment, the biggest car that is in that environment is Give me a very worst car. It was a very terrible car.
Maybe like no,
Maybe I don't even know. I'm not.
Why it should be a bad car?
A very bad car, right? And in your own mind, that would just be this is the best of cars. This is the best, and there's only one person in that environment that has it, right? Just think about something like that. Let me give you a very personal example. Growing up, when my parents nearly packed into their own house, there was just my neighbor who had this bus. It was actually a very old bus, but it was the only car in my environment. And in my thoughts, I was like, wow, our neighbors are actually rich. I want to have this. Guess what? It is one of these buses that, these Lagos buses that usually enter, but it was now painted blue.
God.
So that was what made me think it was a really great car. Until I went out and I was like, wait, so what's this? I was once looking at.
Pause. So you mentioned like lack of opportunity. Like you said that the person has to change his environment. And it's true. Do you know one weird thing? People change their environment, but sometimes when they change their environment, they don't really have that mindset of breakthrough.
Okay, I agree with you. On that one. That's actually very true. That's very true. Because it takes something can be in your environment and you're not even open to it. That's something that has happened to me a lot of times. Where, say for instance, I think people say this a lot, that the day where you are looking for where to buy something is the day that thing begins to appear to you. You begin to see it in literally every shop. You'll be like, oh, so they actually sold this thing in this place and I didn't know about it, right? So I think the fact is that until you are aware of something, you might not see it. Opportunities are everywhere, so you actually need to know about this. So I agree with your point.
Like, wow, there's another thing I also want to talk about, which is oppression. Oppression, right? Let me also say one thing. Okay. Some people, when they see somebody that is coming to them and pitching them a business idea or something, the person may have money or something, but maybe the person didn't dress or didn't look the certain way that they have the ideal person that has money is in their head. They will just perceive this person doesn't have money, this person doesn't, or this person doesn't know what to say or stuff like that. And there's also an oppression whereby maybe somebody is trying to start like a standard business or legal business, and people will be looking down on the person, and I suffered that a lot. And I will look at the person, I'm like, you're not going anywhere. They are just playing with your life or stuff like that. So, what do you think like is the best way somebody can counter oppression?
What's the best way somebody can counter oppression? You see, the thing is that the way I look at it, where anybody that is oppressing or anybody that's being oppressed is just going through a normal phase of life. It's just a normal experience. I have to tell you this. And every single person that has done something worthwhile with their life can always tell you that at some point it didn't look like it. People doubted them. Even at some point, you begin to doubt yourself. Should this thing go work like this? Do you get? So if the truth is that until something begins to look like what I want it to look like, I have reasons to doubt it. So the people that are doubting, they are probably correct. No, they are probably correct. Let's be honest with you. Let's be honest. Let's be honest now. Because until you look like it, don't tell me you are it yet. Only you believe it with yourself. Believe it with yourself, and all your family members and all the people that care about you. Let them believe in you. But until it begins to look like it, I don't believe it. That's what majority of people think, right? But it now takes a person that has reasoning, a person that is learned, to now understand that it actually takes the process. So it goes back to what we were saying about process before, about the period of testing, right? Just understand that in your journey, you would get to that point where you have to, you would see the life you admire. It will be in your eyes like this, and you're already in the journey. You know that it's just going to take a few more moves for you to get to that point. But until you get to that point, people will not believe you. People have to seek success before they can say that, okay, this person believes it. Say for instance, how did we get to meet? I was doing my own things, right? But until you saw me on LinkedIn, I'll be like, okay, this guy's up to something. That was why you invited me. If you didn't see that, I'll believe I'm great. But you'll be like, okay, prove it to me. Right? So people want reasons to you have to prove it. Right? So I don't think you should see oppression as something that should limit you. It only gives me a reason to work harder on myself. And I'm sure it's not a different view. Honestly, that's how it works, right? So for me, first, I understand their limits. There are things people would expect of me to be. There are certain way people want me to dress, probably because they think I have money or whatsoever it might be, or because I'm earning. So at least show us something. But if I there's a way I think. Like for me, I don't believe in the normal conventional dressing. There's a way I like to dress, and No, regardless of what anybody says, that's what I'm sticking to. It's me. Do you get? So there's now the point of actually working hard, because there are some things that people will say that is true. Right? So say the case you say you're earning $50. Of course, it was $50 you're earning. Right? They're not lying.
So good. Like, it feels like as if I was making million,
right? But you're earning $50, and for those people, they were like, what do you want to do with $50? So then you could take it as, these guys don't believe in me, I would quit, or they hate me, or something like that. Or you could say, okay, I'm earning at $50 now, but wait for the next 6 months and see where I'll be at.
Wow, you really
There are different ways to think about oppression. Different ways.
I'm really changed my mindset. Like everything that looks like as if like, and that's just the thing. Sometimes that time I felt like everything was bad for me. I feel like it's part of growth.
It's part of the journey. It's part of it. That's just the interesting thing. It's part of the journey.
So let me just say the last topic I want to talk about, and that is depression.
So I would want you to actually first distinguish between depression and oppression.
That's a very good question. I think majorly depression hits in after somebody has been oppressed.
I get it now.
So if somebody like feels like the point is art is not growing on this time, you see other people doing a lot of things, they're like, okay, fine. Now I've been oppressed. Now I have to go to the next stage, which is depression.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's the point where depression kicks in. I'm like, well, it's time for me to still ride the road or drive. Like,
no, you're saying something interesting. You're saying something interesting just before the podcast, and you're saying that anybody that is depressed is simply at a very crucial point on their journey that could either push them miles backward or pivot them forward.
Yes, you know one thing I feel like about depression. I feel like depression is very, very important. I feel like depression is a very, very good thing, to be extremely honest. Like I feel like depression is very, very good. Okay. If somebody is depressed, I feel like if you are feeling depressed, it's a sign that you in yourself instinctively you know you're not in a good position now. But you see some people, they are not depressed, they're not in a good position, but they don't have anything inside them that's alerting them that
I think
they're not in a good position. You understand? Because I myself, I was depressed until before I started getting this idea. Yes, there was a time whereby I was depressed before I even started freelancing. I think the show it was my depression that made me start freelancing. You understand? But if somebody is not depressed, if I was not
why were you depressed?
There was no money, everywhere choke. Everywhere choke. And I was just thinking, which kind of life is this? All this kind of thing before the depression hit me to the extent that like I do not like it would not be good like somebody comes around me in my circle, because if you come to me that time, I'll just be like, life is hard, things are painful, Tinubu is our friend or something like that, you understand? But that's the energy I was depressed, the energy that I was giving out was depression energy. But at that time, immediately depression hits me. I decided, I cannot let this thing, because one thing about depression is that it's different from normal just depressed. Depression will make you it's like a bell in your head telling you your life is not great. Now try and fix it.
It's an alarm.
It's an alarm. So it tells you, okay, your life is not great. Try and fix it. So if you have me personally, if I don't really feel depressed these days, but even if I feel some certain of I'm not feeling too good. That's enough. That's enough for me to let me try, let me work harder, let me do this. But that depression is just like, hey guy, your father hit this thing. Time for you to it's just like an alarm bell. That's why me personally I feel like it's very, very good, because this is another thing. Myself, I was someone that if I don't ever get depressed, if I never got depressed, I will never ever think of doing finance.
You just keep catching cruise all your life.
Exactly. Some people think that some people don't have any panic bell in their head. Like nobody's telling you. Except from parents or sometimes parents don't even help you panic. You have to try and figure something out for you. Because the truth is that most people, when they are growing up in school and everything, their parents don't tell them, you have to figure something out for yourself. They just say, go to school. It's when you now graduate, they have to tell you, all those kind of stuff. Exactly. So all those kind of stuff, except if most people they can either go through school and be like, but nobody's pressuring me, make I just do. You understand? Whereby some people they are like, oh my god, nobody's pressuring me, but by the pressure is pressuring me. Let me quickly step up.
I think I get you. You know what I'll say? Because as you're just sharing your story now, I could just remember that I've actually crossed that point. It just came to my mind. Came to my mind.
And I've interviewed a lot of people, and I noticed that every single person I know that have made money has gone through depression. You see, that's crazy. I don't know if the depression point was like ground, because I feel like just like on graph there's point 0. 4.0, you can only spice to up. Unless you start going negative.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
that point
That zero.
is either you
That's
start
the
going
point.
up or you start going down, because that place can either ruin or take your life to the next level.
You know, my friend calls it the point where somebody finds their spark.
Exactly.
And it's actually very important that now that you said, I think you said depression is an advantage, it's important, right? So I think it's actually true, very, very true. In the sense that for me, I got to a point where I was actually suicidal. I was actually suicidal. Now that you say it, it makes me remember the experiences. I was in secondary school at the point, and in my secondary school, I attended a very rich people's school, and like I told you, I grew up from a very humble background. So my parents just tried. In fact, my mom tried a lot and just tried to push me, just be in the school. So in the school, I was wearing. You don't want to know what I was wearing there. Like I was just below class, below standard. Where people were flashing what was latest, I was just below standard. And it led me to a point of depression. Like, so I got to that point. I can remember very solidly one day I was just in the shower. I was just like, God, what is this? What kind of life is this? Why am I living this kind of life? But then, like I told you, my friend calls it that point of finding your spark, where you now begin to be intentional about something is different about me, and I have to bring it to the world. I have to prove it that there is something good in me.
Do you know what funny thing is?
I have to. Your
story is a little bit similar to mine. I too went to a school that was a little bit beyond my distance. But you see the one funny thing? Me, I was in a position whereby my parents were sending me money. So there was no cause of alarm.
So
you don't know how bad things were. Like I went to a school whereby a lot of people had money and everything. It was a very expensive school. So my dad was able to pay school fees. He was in a good position. So he was going through the school fees. But except from school fees, me, I was not like sometimes like my shoe would tear. Something I was just fix. I was there for like 3 days. Everybody would disturb me, but as far as I know that my parents are sending me money, I had no single form of panic. Like I didn't panic at all. It was until when things went to shit. I'm like, oh my god, wow.
You know what's interesting? A lot of people have come to this point of their spark, but they've not made they've not taken advantage of it.
And do you know why? It's because most of the time, most people have found some form of comfort in that spark. That place where they should discover their spark, they will find some form of comfort. Like sometimes,
now that you say this, I think this will actually lead some people to like addiction.
Exactly.
A lot
Thank
of
you.
things.
That's sometimes. Somebody's life is at the point where the person has to figure something out. The person may just turn into an alcoholic, or may just turn into somebody that is smoking, or just go do something that will just spoil his life. Because that point is the point of comfort. That point is the person has found whatever it is. I've seen there as a point of comfort, something that can comfort him then. And that was just one thing. And me personally, really last step snap. Okay, wait, my brain have allowed. Okay, but some people, that's the time whereby they have to think, okay, let me go and do something maybe unconventional, something that is not reasonable, or something like that.
So I think for everybody that is listening now, and at some point in your journey, you've come to this point where you're like, things have spoiled, like things have to change. You've realized that you are in a very dangerous place and life is counting. Your alarm is literally going crazy, and probably you found something to comfort yourself with. It's a pointer that you're actually made for things greater, right? And life is naturally, and God is actually calling on you to actually step out of where you are right now and start being intentional about your journey, right? So don't just take it. Don't find solace in where you currently are at. And for whatever reason, if that spark has even died now, and you found comfort in whatever it might be, if it's alcoholism, if it's whatever it might be, if it's the kind of friends, sometimes you can be finding your spark alone, and you just find a clique of friends that when you get into, or everything dies, it just feels like life is normal now. So if that might be the point you are at, you are different. But because of the midst of the people you are in now, everything has died. There's no passion for wanting to do something. Everything just cruise and cruise and cruise. So it's actually, I'm telling you today that there's something bigger on your life. And if you only be intentional, right? If you only be intentional and sit down, sit down in that pain, sit down in that discomfort, that's where something beautiful would come out from.
You said something beautiful. Sit down with that face. That's where it's hard.
It's hard, but of course, that's why very few people do it.
It's true, but yes, people just try to sit down. That is hard, very, very hard. There's no.
You see, it was in that point for my own life that I found God, and that was where I now got the exposition into the abundance that He had for me. And as soon as I found it, guy, there was no stopping. There was no stopping. So for me now, I would also introduce that to you, right? For anybody that is listening, because trust me, Davidson, there's a lot of problems in this world.
That's right.
There's a lot. People are suffering, like a lot of suffering, right? And sometimes we can advise people, we can motivate people. There's some limits to what motivation can do. Some people will be listening to this and they'll be like, "Guy, you don't know what they go through. If you know what I'm going through, you know that all this one way they talk, you know reach that level. Do you get? So for those kind of people, I would just love to tell you that there's actually somebody called God that has very big prospects for your own life. Like he literally created you, like I said at the beginning of the podcast. He created you. So if you would just in that pain, in the midst of the way things are not working out, just find a way to just call on him and ask him to give you help. Just ask for mercy. He will show up for you. I don't know how to describe this, but just every time I think about the way God, the beautiful life he has prepared, it makes me excited. David, we are sitting down here together today. I don't know. I don't know where we'll be sitting down in the next few days, right? Because it's not. I don't literally have to worry about what's coming because he has everything for me.
Yeah.
That's the perspective that I would love a lot of people to have. I'm not scared about the future because there's a God. For real.
Well, I swear it's true. It's something that people, I feel like people, a lot of people, but many people, their view on God is, oh, let God come during good times and bad times they disappear. Like, there's those kind of stuff. Like people's view is different.
For me, it's me and God throughout life. Through the bad, through the lows, through the high.
So, thank you so much. Thank you so much for having us today. We've come to the end of the podcast.
Wow, it's been very interesting.
Thank you so much. Very interesting. And I've learned a lot too.
I've also learned a lot from the conversations. I've learned a lot.
Like my brain, it feels like you just opened like banana. Like you just opened.
David. Anyway, thank you so much for inviting me. I mean, when I got the invitation, I was like, this podcast, I know the sales right now, statuses and everything, so I'll come and speak here. But then, thank you so much. I really appreciate you.
Wow. I've just learned. I think one major thing I've learned today. One major thing is like people should, no matter what, except from the free, they should try and change their position. Like when they want to, like upscale up or move up from that position, like they should try and change their location because location matters a lot. You know what? Funny thing, I didn't change my position. The only thing that really brought me out was because of social media.
So
now you say that.
Let me tell you what at that point what happened to me was the point where after about 2 months on Fiverr and Upwork, I'm not getting any money, I'm not getting any gig, just getting into LinkedIn and seeing this world where there were different set of people. This set of professional people that look like they came from another planet. And I was like, wait, this kind of world exists. And I put myself there. That was the exposure. Like from there, attending events physically, meeting up with this, it just changed my life. I actually agree with that point. I agree.
That's another way. Except for people that have like you're able to relocate them, use social media. And the thing is that people use social media negatively. You use social media, you see
that should be a conversation for another day.
I know, but like you see people big celebrities like Sidney Talker, all these people, they are posting inside luxurious apartments, and you just like, wow, this apartment is fine, I wish I have money. I never thought of, let me just go into something that will maybe make money. So people don't use it that way.
That's the thing now. That's the thing.
But I just wish people could like reason more. I feel like, but that reasoning, how can people come to it? Like, how can their brain like to reason? Because I feel like people just change people can change their environment. Use social media, but they cannot be able to reason. What do you think that will make people? Because you're not the only person that may have changed in your circle. There may be some people that have followed you have changed, but some people are still there. But why?
Yeah, I can literally point to those guys to my for real.
But
why has it been that way?
Is it that like you have a super brain?
No, see, there's no super brain in this thing. The truth is that you would have to get to a point where life will kick you, or you kick life, and that spark would have to happen. For real, a lot of people will continue to live their life normally until they get into discomfort. That's the way it works. That's the way I've seen it work. So most people, for them, it will be that they will get to an event, and for the first time in their life, they will see something that they've never seen in their life, and they will aspire to want to get something like that. But for some people, it will be they will go through pain and to force them to want to do something great with their life. Like for me, the truth is that I can't help anybody that has not seen a need for help. Do you get? But I think the best we can do is to help people understand that there's a lot that is in them that the life you think you are living right now, you can actually be living like 10x or 100x if you have this understanding. So maybe that's enough motivation for people to want to find that spark. For real.
That is.
So that's
I've
just
learned
it.
a lot. I've learned a lot. My brain just that's so cool. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Do you have any conclusion or
Any conclusion? So if there's any conclusion I'll give, I'll just want to summarize everything. So we've had a lot of conversations and people will be wondering what exactly can I do from here now? So let me put it very compactly. So remember I said find God, then value relationships with people, and then have a value, something that people would want to exchange for reward, want to reward you for. So that's like a skill, right? So don't forget that part. Find God. Like he literally started your life and he has a purpose for it. So that's very key, very, very key. Every other part of the equation will not make sense, or you get it to look like it makes sense now, but you get to a point where you become stunted in your growth. But if you're looking for that life that every single day, year on year, is actually doubling up in value, find God. Then next, find people, value people, the people, your friends around you. Begin to look intentionally at them and actually building meaningful relationship with them. When it comes to relationship building, I tell people, network with people in your circle, network with people above you. That's like mentors. Very important. We didn't talk about that. Very, very important. Find mentors. Then even people below you, because no matter how worse your life is, there are people that are still below you. That's how it treat it. No matter how broke you are, there are people that are broken than you. So try as much as possible that you are also helping people, pulling people from below, right? So that's for people. Then for skill, find a solution that people have problems to. Like, okay, it's a problem that you can find a solution to, right? And then offer it first for free to build track record that this thing actually works. And then with time, keep upskilling to a point where it becomes a crime for them not to pay you. There's the point you get to. If I don't pay you for it, you are a criminal.
Yeah. Wow.
So that's what I would say.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much for having us today, Emmanuel.
Thank you so much.
I've learned a lot. I've learned so much. On the battery. All right. Subscribe to Gisting Fast Podcast. Yeah. Subscribe to Gist. I want to edit all this, please. I'm just watching. Subscribe to Gisting Fast Podcast. This today I've learned so much from Emmanuel. Like I don't even know. I have to go and reassess my life again from the beginning because when he's talking, is like money is coming up. I'm like money. I don't feel
I know this like that.
Because there's a lot. But subscribe. You can watch the video. Just go through it. There's so much learning, so much value. Thank you so much. Thank you guys for watching this. Yeah, stay tuned for the next episode. Thank you.